for the...
Destination on line 1.
And Shane Fair, how are you, Shane? Nice to see you. We'll be taking your phone calls if you want to call in. It's a question or a comment. It's 727-1185. Well, let's get started. Since he has the Canadian jersey on here, let's start with the Ranger Canadian series.
Okay.
And do you think the Rangers will take them?
Right now, I would say yes, because the Rangers right now are becoming healthy. Mm-hmm. They're getting their team together, and they're finally they're clicking together after they made all the trades before the trading deadline. The team is starting to finally click together, and just the way Richter and Messier and even Shane Churler and Samuelson, the whole team is starting to gel. And if they get past Montreal, I could see the Rangers going probably to the finals, because I just like the way all of a sudden now they're starting to come together and they're gelling really well.
Hey, with other teams being injured, like Philadelphia?
Philadelphia, with all the injuries that they're having a tough time with Tampa Bay, and Pittsburgh is having a rough time. I don't believe anybody thought that Washington would even win a game against Pittsburgh. I didn't think anybody would figure that they would take 2 in Pittsburgh. And then a game last night, how many times has Washington gone? I think this is the second time they've gone to 4 overtimes. I think one was with the Islanders. And they're doing an excellent job in shutting down Mario Lemieux and Yager. But then again, too, that's what makes Pittsburgh that much better, because they rise to the top. Philadelphia's having a tough time. They have a lot of injuries, too. And if their key players don't come back, they could be in for a rough time. They could be out of it before the week is over.
Shane, what do you think?
Well, as far as the Montreal series is concerned, bad time to move into a new stadium, Molson Center, with the playoffs here, and the aura that surrounds the Forum. It was a terrible time to move into the Molson Center. Just the building doesn't have the same magic, and they're not gelling as they should be, you know, as they were so used to the new Forum. You know, there's an adjustment period to the new stadium as far as the puck off the boards and how the glass absorbs the shots, but I mean, it's a terrible time to move into the Molson Center, especially in the heat of the playoffs. As for Philadelphia, they've recovered well from their injuries. Leclerc added a goal, Joe Otto, but still, I'm sure they're not 100% just yet. And that Pittsburgh game last night, if you turn on Channel 64, it's probably still on now. And that might have been over in the third, and, you know, that penalty shot, and Reggett, well, luckily, had all of it.
Like I said, I like the way the series is playing, though, except for the Blackhawks beating the Flames in 4 straight. Just about every series has been very competitive, and this is basically what the playoffs are supposed to be about.
Even the Detroit series, which is a big surprise.
Well, I think with the Detroit and Winnipeg series, everybody kind of expected Winnipeg not even to win a game, but they're playing for pride, and it's their last. In fact, if they lose tonight, Winnipeg ceases to exist after tonight, because they are going to be moving. And I think the one game that they did win, I think they won that for pride, and they had a lot of fans, a lot of enthusiasm, but I think it's going to help them maybe sell tickets next season when they move to Phoenix. They say, well, this is the kind of team we had. We did make the playoffs. We did compete with Detroit. Yeah, okay, we only won 1 game, but we were competitive with them. That could help them in the long run when they make their move.
Right. Is Detroit really an odds-on favorite like everybody claims they are?
Well, Detroit is, right now, is the best team in the league. They have the most points in the league, and their skating is phenomenal. You know, your Russian Red Army team basically is playing on the squad. But I think last year, going to the finals against the Devils last year and getting completely dominated. And I think you and I had spoken about this before.
The sheer embarrassment.
Not only the sheer embarrassment of it, but people would say, well, do you think last year's finals was it tainted, or did the Devils win? I don't know if you could judge it over whether it was 80 games or 40 game schedule. But Detroit was clearly outplayed, but they went to the finals. They lost, they got a taste for it, and I think they want it back. And the way it looks now, I would say that Detroit would be the odds-on favorite to win the Cup.
What about yourself?
Well, Detroit last year, I mean, the Devils had nothing to lose. Devils went in, I mean, Detroit went into the favorite as they did this year. Devils surprised them, you know. There was no way that Detroit could have, you know, competed with their defense, and no one could have expected them to beat the Flyers, let alone to win the Cup last year. And as for this year, I don't think anybody's going to stop Detroit, whether it be on the power play or on even strength. They make it look the same.
Hey, hold on, we got a phone call. Yes, caller, welcome to the show.
Yeah, on the Rangers, don't you think Thomas Sanger's defense is unbelievable?
The Rangers' defense right now, the team is really, really beginning to gel. Like I said before, with the playoffs, with the trades that they made, and it took them a while. And I guess like everybody else, you go into the playoffs on I think it was a 5-game losing streak, and you lose your first 2, and everybody goes to write them off.
What about Sanger's defense?
The defense with the Rangers are playing excellent right now. There's no two ways about it. The team is looking good. They got a young defense mixed in with a veteran defense on it. I like the way they're looking.
What about Sanger?
Sanger? Never heard of him.
Thanks, caller. I never heard of him either.
That was the only one.
Yeah, right. Anyway, what about some of the other playoff games? Colorado.
Colorado plays well at home. They're tied 2-2 with Vancouver. Colorado plays well at home because everybody claims it's the rarefied air, and every team that's gone in there has said the same thing. The game is a little different. You don't take, if you normally take a 1-minute shift when you go up to Colorado, you take a 30-second shift because of the air up there is different. It's a lot harder to breathe. They have the fan support up there. I don't know. It's hard to say with them too because they look like they were going to be the class team of the league. They were playing good at the beginning of the season. They hit a slump, and I really don't think they've recovered all the way from that. As far as maybe getting out of their division, yeah, I would say they could even go into the semifinals with Detroit.
Well, I think the main thing that helped Colorado is almost like the franchise free agency, which it goes back to. Colorado gets an expansion team, fully loaded, you know, no expansion draft involved. You get a fully loaded team, like Quebec Nordiques, who were legitimate contenders the year before. And with the addition of Patrick Roy, they lose Rushinsky and Kovalenko, but they pick up a veteran goalie while they only had Fise and Thibault. And now Thibault's on Montreal. I'm sure Colorado's happy with the trade, and I'm sure they're legitimate contenders as well in the West.
It's amazing how badly Roy plays with Montreal. All of a sudden he plays like the Dickens of Colorado.
Well, look at how bad Montreal was playing at the beginning of the season, and they fired their coach, and they pick up Tremblay to run the team. And he comes back in, and all of a sudden now the team starts to gel. Was it they didn't like the coaching staff? Did they need to change? I don't know. But like you said before, too, moving into a new arena, that doesn't help them any either.
A new leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? And I'm a Maple Leaf fan.
Well, at least your team was in the playoffs. You know.
Yeah, I know, right? But, let's jump back to something out of the playoffs for just a moment, because I'm sure we'll get a call on it later on. Did the Devils push the panic button? We can't go through this show without talking about them even briefly.
Did they push the panic button?
Yeah, I mean, making the trades that they made.
I think the Devils lost it in the beginning of before the season even started. You don't trade away a playoff MVP and Claude Lemieux for Steve Thomas. You don't lose Bruce Driver. You don't lose Chorski. You trade away Terreri, you traded away Billington. You can't rely on just one goaltender and have him play 70, 75 games and expect to win. The man is going to break down sooner or later. I don't care how young that Martin Brodeur is. It doesn't make a difference. You cannot have a man play 75, 80 games and expect to go far in the playoffs. And I think a lot has to do with the coaching staff, too. I think they really miss Larry Robinson. Because to me, I think Robinson was a stabilizing factor between the players and Jacques Lemaire. Yeah, Jacques Lemaire.
You're thinking a little Amarillo.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, you need somebody in there to help stabilize between the manager, the general manager, and the players. And I think Larry Robinson was that influence on them. And now that he's there, they're missing something. They're really missing it. And I think that that's probably part of the reason why they had a collapse too.
What do you think?
Well, I think not only do they use and abuse Martin Brodeur, I mean, they just totally killed their chances this year, like you said, with Claude Lemieux. That was the defining trade, and that just pretty much summed up their season for the year. Taking the good that they had and getting rid of it. And after that,
nobody stepped up to pick up the production.
Right. To me, Claude Lemieux was like even Bruce Driver, and all the years the Driver was with the Devils too. Lemieux was like Mark Messier to the Rangers. He was a take-charge guy. He was a man who said, hey, we have to step it up a notch. The man was through the playoffs enough where he knew what he had to do. And he'd get the team going, get them, just like Messier. There's a lot of people out there that don't like Messier. But you have to admit one thing, when it comes crunch time, the man gets his team motivated. And I think that's what the Devils miss. You know, I'm not taking anything away from Steve Thomas, but Thomas is not, he's not Claude Lemieux.
not the grinder that Claude Lemieux was. And
you don't take away a Stanley Cup MVP and trade him away and expect to be the same way you were before. Actually, what you did was you just tore that team apart.
You can't win with just defense. You have to have people who can score goals.
That's it. You know,
right, that's what it comes down to.
And trading away Terreri was a bad move.
You had no, Corey Schwab was untested. He was an unknown commodity. But when you're defending champs or you're running for the Stanley Cup, you have to have that other goaltender there that's going to help you in the long run. Because, like you said, Brodeur was used and abused. And go back to the Rangers for a minute. Now, Richter was hurt, and Glenn Healy rose to the occasion. And
more so than Richter in the early season.
Right, but at least you had the reliable goaltender there. Right. You had somebody who could step up and take his place. They said Richter is going to be around a long, long time. But as far as having a guy like Glenn Healy around, that's a good backup. That's a good acquisition for you, and that's one of the things I think the Devils lacked.
Is Tampa Bay a surprise?
Tampa Bay, to me, is a surprise because of the way Phil Esposito built the team. He went, basically, when he started drafting his players, he decided to go with veterans. And take the Ottawa Senators. Everybody's laughing at the Senators, but they have the nucleus of a good club in a couple of years. It's just that all the young talent, all the draft choices they have to come together and learn how to play. You're not playing for now, you're playing for later on down the road. As Tampa Bay has got, to me, I like the way they play. They have everybody gelling together at the same time, and the team is not a fluke. They didn't back into the playoffs, and I don't know how far they'll go. If they beat Philadelphia, well, we'll see how far they go in the next round, but for the first time in the playoffs, they're really not doing that bad. They're surprising a lot of people.
How do you like about Tampa Bay?
Well, I feel that Tampa Bay is more like the sleeper team of the East, and so many players you don't hear about don't get the recognition.
Like
Peter Klima, I would definitely have to mention, because I think Peter Klima is outstanding. He's the center of this team, I think. It's like the nucleus, as you had said, but everything, I think, revolves around Klima, and the sooner Tampa Bay can realize it, the sooner they'll start winning, because he is just so talented, and they must use him to their advantage.
Well, the the other team that really surprised, well, actually they don't really surprise me, is the Florida Panthers.
Roger Nielsen coaches them, right?
Yeah, I like the way the Panthers have set their goaltending up. You have Van Beesbrook and you have Mark Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick is finally well. He's over his blood disease that he had when he was with the Islanders that cost him, you know, a chance to me, I think, to be a #1 goaltender with the team. But if Van Beesbrook goes down, you have another good backup that could help them in the long run, because neither one of them, yes, let's say Van Beesbrook got the majority of the work, but Fitzpatrick helped them a lot. And to be up, people say, you surprised they're up 3-0 on Boston? No.
Is there any team in the playoffs that you're surprised are there?
That I'm surprised it's there?
Yeah.
Well, the one team that I'm surprised is there, and I know it's your favorite team, is Montreal. Is Toronto, the Maple Leafs. They've lost a lot of young talent. And most of the talent all went to the Islanders.
Right.
Right. The trades for Muller, for Wendell Clark and Matthew Schneider. And they gave up youth, they gave up size, and they gave up an awful lot of draft choices. And I think in the long run, that's really going to hurt them, because you can't give up all the talent that you have to win now. Kurt Muller didn't want to be in the New York area. He didn't want to play for the Islanders at all. They said they should have gotten rid of him in the very beginning of the season. And if anybody that I didn't want to see leave the Islanders was Matthew Schneider.
Right.
But Wendell Clark, you never heard from the man. He never opened his mouth. He went out and he played a steady game. I was kind of sad to see him go, too, because I enjoyed watching him play.
Right. Pittsburgh has been ripped because of its lack of defense. Now, we've all heard that defense wins championships. How true is that in hockey, do you think? Is it truer or less true than other sports?
Well, you have to, in order to win, you have to score. If you have the type of team that you can afford to get into a shootout with another club, like you have a line of, you know, you have Yaga, you have Mario Lemieux, and you have these guys come in, and any one of them is capable of putting in 4 or 5 goals a night. If you can afford to do that and your goaltending is that good, then the defense goes out the window. But if they shut you down, another team's defense shuts you down completely, can you play that 2-1 game or the 1-0 game? And the way Washington is playing them with the body checks, they're picking them up at the blue line. They're not even letting them out of the zone on the power play. And Washington has come away with a couple short-handed goals. And when you do that, you're hurting. But certain teams, yeah, they're geared for the defensive style. Other teams are geared for offense. If your goaltending is that good, where you can get into a shootout and hold them in the last period, hold them down the last 2 minutes, then you can win. But I don't think I'd want to get into a shootout every night, though.
In contrast, though, that was the Devils' downfall, because they had no top flight scorer.
No. Like I said, they depended a lot on, like I said, Steve Thomas to be a heavy scorer for them. And there was something, you know, when the team has the killer instinct, the Devils didn't have it this year. They must have left it back in the locker room last year when they won the Stanley Cup, because they just did not come out hungry at all. And I said, I'm surprised, because I like the team, I like the way they look, but there's something lacking from that team.
Now, is that Lamoriello's fault or Lemaire's fault, or both?
It could be a combination of Lamoriello, it could be a combination of the coaching staff, it could be a combination of the players too. you walk around with the like, well, we're the champs, you have to beat us, and when the team goes out and beats you every night, that's what hurts.
Let's go back to the Ranger-Montreal series for a moment.
Stick with two teams that are in the playoffs.
Smart kid. Is there one player or a number of players who you expect to be a factor in this series?
Well, I think Turner Stevenson has made his impact in the
About Dan Foose?
Rangers attack zone, or as far as defense, but Dan Foose is tremendous. I never expected this from him during the regular season. You know, he's a mediocre player. He scores goals when you need him, but he's amazing. He just totally turned on in the playoffs.
He just hit on something. Isn't it amazing a player can be mediocre during the course of the season?
And turn it on.
And turn it on in the
Separate
playoffs.
plays.
It's funny the way it works out, but there are a lot of players that do that. You know, and then you'll hear people always turn around and say, well, the regular season doesn't mean anything. You know, it's just get into position for the playoffs. And like you said, here's a guy who started out halfway decent, and he started tailing off towards the end of the year, and has been virtually invisible during the playoffs. Is Pierre Turgeon.
Such is the case, right?
He's been,
exactly.
you know, now the goaltender with Thibault now, and nobody thought that he would rise to the occasion that he has.
And I hate to make predictions, but I think this is it for Turgeon. You know, the summer is going to be his last off season with Montreal, because when the press comes down on you, like they're coming down on him, you
Yeah, Montreal has
to get
always
traded.
been a tough town to play in, and if you're the captain of the team, and that's a big weight on your shoulders to be, you know, to wear that C up there. And if you can't come up and walk in the shoes of people from way back when, you know.
Salvo and Rashad.
Right.
Hold that thought. We got a phone call. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question for Shane.
Sure.
Okay, what do you think the Canadians have to do to have any chance to beat the Rangers?
show up. Just show up.
Yeah.
Anything else, caller?
No, that's it.
Thank you. You want to quantify that a little bit?
Well, maybe I should more reiterate. Well,
Is that a friend of yours?
yeah, co-worker.
I thought he sounded familiar.
Well, as far as the Rangers series is concerned, it really can go either way at this point. The Rangers have been shaky at home in the playoffs, as they have in the past, and there's just no home ice advantage at all in this playoffs. It's just totally disappeared.
I just get the feeling that the Rangers are lacking something. I mean, Messier is a great leader, there's no question about it, but he can't carry them, he can't do everything for them.
No, that's true.
Colin Campbell is a decent coach, but I just don't think he has what it takes.
I think that, and if any Ranger fans out there, if they're listening, and I'm not a Ranger fan. I'll tell you that from the beginning. I said my team wears fish sticks, you know, on their shirts.
Stan Fischler.
Right, Fischlers, yeah.
But they're going back to the old logo, by the way.
Not this season, the following season. Yeah.
And he was on New Sports, so he said he's very upset.
A happy compliment.
Yeah, well, they
between
said,
the
you
two
know,
jerseys.
it doesn't look like them anymore, you know. But getting back to the Rangers, when they made that trade to bring Curry, McSorley, and Shane Churla to the team, they traded away a lot of young talent, plus Ray Ferraro. Now, people turn around and say, well, Ferraro was on his way to a 30. To me, he was on his way to a 30-goal season. He was playing like he started when he was with Hartford and when he played with the Islanders. He was playing good. And the one thing that he said when he left, he said, remember, he said, I didn't ask to come to the Rangers. The Rangers came and asked me. And you need another scorer. Adam Graves, to me, is having a playoff of his life. He looks fantastic.
game's too easy for him right
But,
now.
right, but what happens if Adam Graves goes down? Who's going to pick up the slack for them? We know Messier is still hurt, although they say no, but McSorley's been non-existent. Curry hasn't really done anything. I said
Robitaille's nothing.
Shane Charler, well, the other night he scored a goal. He didn't do too bad, but at least he's banging the body around, and I think that's basically what the Rangers got him for, you know. But you need somebody else. Besides banging the body around, you have to have a scorer. And I think they missed Ferraro for not having that extra goal scoring in there.
Kovalov's good, but I don't think he can fill that what the Rangers would like at this point. Graves and Messier, the two big ones. And then Leach, of course, adds his defense.
Right.
And also assists and goal scoring.
What I would like to see tomorrow night when they play home, I would like to see them give Glenn Healy a shot in net tomorrow. Give Richter a night off. And keep Healy active, because you can't turn around and waste him on the bench, because if something should happen to Richter, you don't want him coming in cold. He hasn't played in, what, almost 2 weeks? Right. And I don't think he could do that. I don't think he could win like that, although St. Louis has kind of proven people wrong, too. They had Grant Fuhr playing 70-some-odd games. I think he played 79 games. And he goes into the playoffs. He plays the second game, and he gets hurt, and he's out for the year. John Casey comes in, and Casey hasn't played all that much during the season, but he's fresh. Could that help him? Sure, it could help St. Louis. I really do. I really believe that.
Grant Fuhr actually skated with the team yesterday, and Mike Keenan said that it was a pipe dream of him coming back, but he is determined to come back, and he actually was skating with the team with the special support brace on yesterday. And what that could mean, Keenan's a very stern man, and if he says Grant Fuhr is out for the season, then yes, he is out for the season.
Keenan is an interesting character. How much of a factor is he going to be in the playoffs for St. Louis?
I think Keenan gets the most out of his players.
Even though he's a carpetbagger.
I know people call him something other than carpetbaggers. There's other names they call him too. But everywhere the man has gone, the man has produced a winner. He did it with the Rangers. He did it with Chicago. And I said, now he's doing it again with St. Louis. Is it fair to the players? No, because you're getting used to his system. The way he left the Rangers, I think, was kind of
tacky.
Yeah, very tacky. But now he goes out to a team like St. Louis, and he's got them playing good. He has a new arena to play in, and he's putting a product on the ice that the people want to come out and see. Now, whether to move to get Gretzky and you give up a whole line, like you give up a guy like Roman Vopat, but the thing with Vopat is he went with the rest of his line mates. Would you mortgage your future, give off a whole line for Gretzky? Not now. 10 years ago, yeah. But now I don't think so.
That just magnifies how badly Brett Hull is treating that organization. You know, he had the C stripped early in the season. Now he's down to nothing. And the first game, Gretzky skates in, and he's captain.
Well, Gretzky's proven that through the years, too. But it is a slap in Brett Hull's face, though.
Yeah, but a lot of times, and Mike Keenan said in the very beginning of the season, too, that Brett Hull has to come to play every night. And there were a lot of nights that Brett Hull doesn't show up. He's invisible. And if you're the captain of the team, you can't do that. You have to show up every night. Just like we'll go back to Mark Messier. Messier's hurt. He's got broken ribs or, you know, sore chest or whatever. But Messier shows up every night. He makes the attempt. This is what a captain of the team is supposed to be all about.
Is he the best captain you've seen?
Okay, I'm a little prejudiced on that, but I will say that he's on this. I'll put him on the same level as a Dennis Potvin, because Potvin rose to the occasion. He's won 4 cups. He won 4 in a row. He brought the team together. He knew how to make the teams gel. Bobby Clark when he was the captain of the Flyers back in the 70s. He brought that team together too, although there was a lot of criticism about the way he did it. But he brought the team together, and this is what a captain is supposed. A captain has to show up every night. They follow his lead. He leads by his example.
What do you think?
Well, it's hard to say at this point, but I do think you were right about the prejudice in as far as Dennis Potvin. But I can't really say much about that because happens to be one of the most underrated players of all time. I could firmly say I really didn't have the experience to watch him play, but he is very underrated. The fact still remains.
Hold on, we got a phone call. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Yeah, you call Mike Keenan a carpetbagger. He's won more hockey games than any coach around. You make me laugh. You guys have the worst show on cable, and you go and call him a carpetbagger.
And you have the best intelligence on Staten.
I call him a carpetbagger because a signed contract means nothing to him.
No, well, like I said, Keenan to me was, no matter
She's calling back.
Keenan's a winner. No matter where he's gone, he's been a winner. He's produced a winner. He's got teams into the finals. He's won the cup. And like I said, you know, you call him a carpetbagger, and I know other people call him other names, but to me, the man is a winner. He's been there. He's won.
Oh, I don't deny that. I don't deny that at all.
You know.
But when you sign a contract, you sign a contract.
That's true. I ain't gonna argue with you.
You want to renegotiate, that's one thing. But you take a team to a championship and you up and leave in the manner that he did? Nah, that's no good. No good at all. Anyway, Detroit. Oh, we got another phone call. Okay. Hello, caller.
Hello, I'd like to make a comment about that last phone call you got.
Sure.
I don't think that person knows what they're talking about. I don't follow sports, but you certainly have a very interesting show.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and I'd like to see you guys do commentary on the games.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your compliment.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Nah, I don't think I quit my day job.
Anyway, let's go to Chicago for a minute. There always seems to be a team where they have a lot of trouble. They never seem to get to the finals. Any reason why?
With Chicago's a very, they're a funny team. They're a fickle team. But I think the problem this year is they're in the same division as Detroit, and I think that's got to hurt them a little bit too. They play good at times. They look terrible at times, but Chicago a couple of years ago could have won, and they didn't. They didn't come up to where they should have, and everything just fell apart on them.
It's just not a playoff team.
No.
Like, it comes back to that. I mean, in the regular season, they're very impressive. People base their predictions on the regular season, but Chicago just does not show up in the postseason.
Okay, we got another phone call. Yes, caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
How you doing? I want to talk about the Rangers.
Sure, go ahead.
I do like their chances. Well, let me just, I didn't get to say my name. This is Anthony Cetera. I like the Rangers' chances of coming back and beating Montreal. I think tomorrow's night is going to dictate the series. I mean, I'm not going out on a limb saying that, but the way they've been checking and all that, I think it's come back to haunt Montreal. You know, I hate to say that, Sean. I know, Sean or Shane?
Shane.
Shane. I see you're a big Montreal fan.
Right.
But
No.
I think the Rangers are going to go pretty deep into the playoffs.
Let me ask the caller a question.
Sure.
Before I had said about playing Glenn Healy
Right.
in a game tomorrow, if you were the coach, would you give him an opportunity to play?
Well, a lot of people might say they owe it to him because the guy played well for them during the season and all that. But then again, if you watch Richter 2 nights ago, it's tough to sit him on the bench. You know, I can't see taking out Mike Richter because he hasn't played like this since 2 years ago. But I still insist he still lets up that soft shot. He made all the great saves, and that slap shot Wilkie took was what, 40 feet out? He should have stopped that, no?
Right.
Oh, definitely, sure.
No, and then even Turgeon shot. There was another soft shot. I mean, it was a quick wrist shot, but He should have stopped it.
Maybe he had
But
sympathy.
I don't know about sitting the guy for that. I mean, a lot of people make a case. They do owe it to Glenn Healy, but Mike Richter's Mike Richter. He's the guy that won the Cup 2 years ago for them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's true. No, I'll agree with you on that. You don't get any argument from me on that point.
On a personal note, I have played high school hockey, and I've been a Ranger fan for all my life. I used to play for St. Peter's High School. I was a goaltender, and I patented my style after John Davidson himself. I used to play like him, too, you know. If you remember the play with Bobby Nystrom, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, very well.
I was a big fan of Mark Pavlich, too, and them guys. So, you know, this is real special for me to watch them going in so deep into the playoffs these couple of years.
But you see the way the playoffs are structured now. Go back to 1980 for a minute, and when the Islanders played the Flyers for the championship. Could you imagine what this town would be like if, say, within 2 years or 3 years, the Islanders get back up and the Devils? Could you see an Islander-Ranger Stanley Cup final or a Ranger-Devils Stanley Cup final here in New York? What it would do to this town?
Sure, it'd be like
honestly, I don't see why not. You know, I mean, the talent would be there. You know, are you saying a team that they have today?
No, I'm saying any time in the future, like the way the playoffs used to be, and they had it structured. It was from team 1 to 16, and you played out of your conference. I believe 1 year the Islanders they played Los Angeles, and
right.
And they wound up going down into the finals with the Flyers that year, and that was an all-Patrick Division final. And do you think that would generate a lot more interest in hockey in the New York area if the teams around here could face one another in the Stanley Cup final?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, not so much. You know, a lot of people don't even think about a team like a Buffalo, you know, because they're not a very good team right now. But I think, like, if you're talking Devils, Rangers, Islanders, sure, I think it'll generate a lot more interest. The only thing is, though, maybe it's because I'm biased because I'm a Ranger fan, the post-celebrations might be a little more favorable towards the Rangers. I mean, let's face it, that Devils celebration last year was pretty pathetic.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, they were playing Whoop, There It Is, you know, and songs that were like 4 years old. And I'm watching Phil Guerin about 3 or 4 steps behind with those songs.
Then again, where are you going to go to celebrate New Jersey, you know?
Yeah, that's
you
true.
Have your
they could have hung out somewhere in Newark, you know?
Right.
They would have shot up their celebration, too.
Problem being, if you do your celebration through Jersey City, the bullet holes through the cup might damage its credibility.
Anthony, thanks for calling.
They drink the champagne out of that like a fountain, you know?
Thanks for calling.
Okay, take care now.
Bye-bye. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Vito. I'm
Yeah.
calling from Tocqueville.
Go ahead, Vito.
Can I talk about the Yankees a little bit?
Well, it's hockey tonight. If you want to mention the Yankees real quick, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Andy Pettitte.
Okay.
I think he takes off anybody better than anybody in baseball.
Definitely.
No question.
The pickoff move is so patented, and it's really...
Most definitely.
What does he have? 6, is it, or?
5.
5 pickoffs. I mean, that's outstanding.
Yes, but can he play left wing?
No. Any hockey questions?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Howard Stern and Baba Booey.
Baba Booey.
Yeah, I heard that's a VD, right? It's a Havana venereal disease. That is Baba Booey.
I'll behave myself.
That's going to be very tough for you to do. I should have known that was coming. Anyway. Oh, God. Vancouver. Pavel Bure.
If he's healthy.
No, I mean, that team, since they lost to the Rangers in the finals 2 years ago.
Downhill.
Downhill. All the way downhill.
Even with the addition of McGillney, it's just been downhill. And as the expression goes, hell in a handbasket. They're just going downtown.
No, I really don't know too much about Vancouver this year. I haven't really, seen them too much, but...
Well, that's because of the television coverage, too.
Yeah, that's true, too. But like you said, they're basically like a one-dimensional team. If Bore's there, they're there. And like you said, everybody figured that the acquisition of McGillney would help them, but so far it's proven it hasn't.
Hold on, we got another call. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Yeah, how you doing? My name's Andrew Kelly. I'd like to know what you guys think about the union, the hockey union in the NHL. You think there'll be another strike or something like that soon?
No, you would know that.
As far as the strike goes, I don't know. But to me, there's a big difference between the hockey players and, we'll say, the baseball players.
Well, we got to support all unions. You know, I'm in a local union over here. I'm a plumber. I'm an electrician. I'm in an electrician's union. We got to support the unions, you know, no matter what happens.
Well, let me ask you this, though, about supporting the union. I'm also a union member myself, and I was a shop steward.
Hey, man, it's good to hear from you, brother.
But let me ask you this. When the baseball players went out on strike and nobody was allowed to work, but if the vendors and the umpires and everybody else went, did the players still go to work?
Hey, man, they gotta support it, man. We make it, the players, or we make the whole thing run. You know, what do you want? You want to get a bunch of Mexicans in there to run baseball? You got to have the union. That's it. You know, you can't do it. You can't sell for bad workers. That's it.
Any other comments, sir?
No, that was it.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Take care.
Cooks went out. No, it was a good comment. Good comment. What do you think about the union? Will they strike again?
I think the players, the hockey players, took a beating the last time at the hands of the owners. They gave up an awful lot. But the one thing I will say about the hockey players that's different about the baseball players, the baseball players' attitude seems to be, well, if we go back to work, we go back to work. I don't care one way or the other. Oh, yeah, we want to go back to the game, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. But you look at the way the hockey players, they kept coming up with, every time there was no talks, they would say, let's get a proposal up. Here's our proposal. This is what we wanted. They were chomping at the bit to go back to work. They wanted to go back. And the owners kept, no, can't do it. No, can't take it. The owners are making dollar bills like you wouldn't, like it's coming out of, yeah, okay, it is coming out of their pocket, but if it wasn't for the players being there, the owners wouldn't have that money to put in their pocket.
True. What do you think?
Can you blame them for the paper chase, though? I mean, when there's that many millions in front of you, most of the public agrees that how many more are going to really matter. But they see it as though it's like broad opportunities, and all this money that's out there can still be acquired by them. And I think that's just going to be the fuel for strikes. And as they say, you're not striking for yourself, you're striking for the people behind you. And basically, the strikes have been selfish and for themselves at this point. I think hockey, though, holds the strongest union, the NHLPA, and I think it's pretty firm.
How would you rate Gary Bettman as a commissioner so far?
As far as, there's a lot of things he's done. The best move I think Gary Bettman made was getting national TV coverage for the NHL. They haven't had that since, I think it was NBC Sports dropped them. He's got the exposure, but you start playing the games, they do it after the football season is over. You do it, you get your ratings up, and then it disappears off of Fox for a couple weeks, and then a week and a half, 2 weeks before the playoffs, they start again. He's got to make some kind of a deal where you have like Hockey Night in Canada, it's very successful. Why not try that here? I think something like that would work.
Hold that thought.
Hello.
Yes, caller, go ahead.
All right, from Staten Island.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your name?
Good Jeff about the majors.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what you said about Gary Bettman?
Yes.
There was a time when they had a fight. I'm trying to. Oh, was it Ronick?
Or Chris Chelios, I believe. Or was it Ronick that made the threat on his family?
And they had a fight with the members that wanted to burn up his house or something.
Right. They
yeah.
threatened the family members.
Yeah, that was a good one. So what do you think about the Rangers going 5th or 6th against Canadians?
Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards the Rangers. I'd say that by Sunday afternoon, it's going to be over.
That'd be a scary thought because, you know, if the Rangers, you know, they're always winning by 1 goal now. I'm a diehard Rangers fan. I look a little bit like Mike Richter if I come down on the show. Everybody say I look like him, you know? I see my room. My room's all for Rangers. So I think they're taking 5 or 6.
Well, who do you like to win the Stanley Cup?
Now?
Yeah.
The Rangers.
Rangers? Against who?
And who?
Yeah.
I would say St. Louis. Would be good with
That's an
Keaton.
interesting choice.
That's a good, that'll be an interesting matchup, sure.
Imagine the booing he's going to take in the job.
I'd like to see Messier and Gretzky against each other. That would be a good idea, right?
Good matchup, sure.
And Curry, too.
Curry and McSorley. That'd be a great matchup.
Hey, thanks for calling.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right.
That was an interesting call.
Something to think about.
Nobody can be counted out in the West, I guess.
No,
Well,
not really.
nobody can be counted out, period, because so many teams make the NHL playoffs. Yeah.
That's another thing. Like you were talking about Gary Bettman before, and there's a few things like his marketing, as far as marketing jerseys and caps and jackets and whatnot. And the one thing I think he pulled a boner on, though, was when he had, I think I said something I shouldn't have said, was when he took the home team seal off the puck. Right. And it may not mean a lot to certain people, but he said, you get a kid gets a hockey puck for the first time, he doesn't want to see an NHL seal, he wants to see his home team seal on it.
Might be surprised to see it doesn't glow when he touches it though.
Yes, caller, go ahead.
How you doing? This is Sal Dodonna. I'm a Ranger fan, too. I was looking at the playoffs, and I think there are a couple of sleeper teams, especially Vancouver. I was watching that game they played against Colorado the other night. They were real physical, and they put up a great game.
What's the other sleeper team you think is?
I thought Washington, but, you know, I've seen Washington year in, year out give Pittsburgh a lot of trouble. That game last night was a heartbreaker. I thought they were going to win that game.
Oh, it's over.
Mario
Yeah.
Lemieux, I'm against Mario Lemieux. He proved again that he's a goon. If you watch what he did to Todd Krieger from behind, he attacked him.
Exactly.
And I was so happy to see him get thrown out of the game.
And it was funny
I
that
saw him all year cross-check people. I remember one game against Detroit, he cross-checked, I think it was either Konstantinov or Lidstrom right in front of the net. And I don't even think he got a penalty for it. I mean, it's horrible, horrible what goes on. I'm just so much against Mario Lemieux. What's your guys feeling about him?
Well, let me ask you something about the officiating in the league. Do you think that the league should allow, like the way they do it in baseball, you have a set crew that goes around? Do you think that the league should do that with their referees and linesmen too?
I think so. I like that idea. It's true. I think a lot of these guys aren't on the same page. If you watch, I mean, especially in the playoffs, you get guys like Paul Stewart the other night. I mean, I don't want to single out Paul Stewart, but certain guys aren't together, you know, and it's an important game. Whereas you might get a crew that's been working together already. They know who to look for a certain call, which linesman. You know what I mean?
I'll agree with that 100% on that.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the case there. Hey, I heard you guys talking about starting Glenn Healy about Mike Richter before. I've been a Ranger fan, and my all-time idol was Doug Sotot. I mean, I wish he was around today to be playing.
Well, there's a name out of the past.
Yeah, it's a blast from the past, huh? I think it would be nice to see Pierre LaRouche on this team, too. I was a big Pierre LaRouche fan.
Let's take it back to what you said about Mario Lemieux. Here's a guy, he's coming back from injury. They set up the obstruction call. Many people believe that they set that up for him.
Right.
And he just totally disappoints everyone last night with his antics. And it was a slap in the face. It was a slap in the face to Gary Bettman and the NHL.
I really have. And then they send out guys like Tama. I mean, okay, the Rangers have had some goons in the past, too. I understand that. But they just kept trying to antagonize the scorers on Washington to get some kind of retaliation. Bondra. I mean, he's picking a fight with Peter Bondra. Peter Bondra's not a fighter.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, come on, enough is enough. But I tell you, it was nice to watch that, to get a little payback. They did it clean. If you noticed the way they went against Yager after that, they were sandwiching Yager all night. Did you see those checks on them?
All night long.
Yeah, I tell you. And if you're going to play the game like that, I got no problem with it. You just don't cross-check a guy from behind and slash the crap out of him like he did to Todd Krieger. I know Todd Krieger's been a pest, but keep the game within the rules, you know what I mean?
That's right. I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So, nice talking to you guys.
Hey, listen, what are your predictions for the finals?
The finals.
Yeah.
Well,
Who do you like?
I tell you, I like the Rangers. I'm a Ranger fan. But if the Rangers can't make it there, I think it's going to have to be Philadelphia in the East. If that broken down Ron Hextall holds up, Philadelphia will probably make it there.
Overrated Ron Hextall.
What about the Panthers?
The Panthers? I like Beazer in net, but I just don't think they have enough. Shepard's been great for them as far as scoring, but I don't think they have enough scoring. I don't think they're going to have much of a problem. I think they're losing tonight to Boston, but I don't think they're going to have much of a problem getting out of the first round. I think they might run into some trouble with a team like the Rangers or Pittsburgh. I don't see them going to the finals. I would be surprised, but I just don't.
How about in the Western Conference?
I think either Detroit there or Chicago. Chicago's the team that could beat Detroit, I think. I don't think Detroit will have a lot of trouble with Colorado. I think Colorado's having trouble with Vancouver already. The team that gives Detroit trouble is the big physical team. You got guys like Chelios and Daze and all the big players on that. They wear down a team like Detroit, I think, in a 7-game series. I mean, hey, heck, look at last year. Those games, how many of those games went into overtime? And you got Ed Belfour in that. I think I'd take Ed Belfour over, you're talking about some of these other teams in the West. Hey, they faced Vancouver, a guy like McLean might have a little trouble with them too, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Well, thanks a lot for your call.
Excuse me?
Thanks a lot for the call.
Oh, take care now, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Okay.
I ain't saying
Enough.
We'll talk about that after. Let's go on. We got about 7 minutes left. Predictions. Who do you like and why?
Coming out of the East.
Yeah.
Coming out of the East.
Before you say that, let me get one last phone call.
Okay.
Yes, caller.
Yeah, how you doing? Andy Kelly again. Hey, my prediction is Rangers all the way. I don't see anybody beating the Rangers.
Okay.
I mean, how could you even compare to the Rangers? Islanders aren't in it. I would have went with the Islanders if they were in it for the underdog, but they ain't even going to take it.
No.
Now, I like to say one thing. I like to say hi to my little redhead Loretta out there, who I'm going to get married in a couple of weeks.
Congratulations.
Hey, thanks, guys. You can't beat marriage.
Okay, Andy, we got to run.
How you doing, Loretta? Ooby dooby dobby 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 dobby.
Wasn't that Doobie Doobie Doo of Bing Crosby or something? Anyway, we got about. Thank you. I thought something. We got about 5 minutes left. Predictions. Eastern Conference.
Right now, it's hard to say because you don't say Washington and Pittsburgh are tied up. Philadelphia and Tampa Bay are tied. I do like the Panthers, and I would like to see a final in the Eastern Conference of the Rangers and the Panthers. I think that would make a very interesting type of playoff. As far as the West, I'll go with Chicago and Detroit. And I'd look to see Detroit to come out on top. As far as
But Chicago wouldn't make it easy for them.
no, I think they would probably go full 7 games at that, because I think if any team, like the one caller said before, if any team is going to give Detroit problems, it's going to be Chicago. The Stanley Cup final. Right now, I'll go out on a limb and I'll say Detroit and the Rangers. And with Detroit coming out in a 7-game series, Detroit coming out on top.
What about you, Shane?
Well, at this point, I'm so prejudiced. It's hard to say, but let's just say Pittsburgh. I'll be conservative. I understand it's New York. And in the West, without a doubt about it, Detroit. How about yourself?
Okay, I'll go with the Rangers and Philadelphia. With Philadelphia coming out on top in the East. Detroit, and I'll go with Chicago. And Chicago win an upset.
That'd be interesting.
And Chicago winning the Stanley Cup.
It would be a surprise anyway.
Right.
Wasn't it?
Old yet understandable, definitely.
Any final comments about the playoffs so far?
All the games have been entertaining. As I said, you've had a lot of overtime games. You've had some blowouts, but you've had a lot of close games. The games they've been good. Nothing, I don't think, like I said, the game last night, 4 overtimes. How could you, you fans say, oh, the fans sit there and they're watching the game, but being out there and skating on that and then have to come back tomorrow night, you got to give them a lot of credit. To come back and play a game like that, you see a lot of overtime games, and basically outside of the nonsense that went on last night with Mario Lemieux, basically the games they've been feisty, of course. So this, look what you're fighting for, but they've been good. I've enjoyed watching them. I've had a lot of fun in watching them.
Any comments about the coverage of the games? We got about 2 minutes.
Okay, ESPN has got to turn around and start showing a couple of other teams. You got to turn around and show, the Panthers and the Bruins, and you have to turn around and show, you've had the Red Wings on. Well, right now, Blackhawks, okay, but you have to show a few more teams. Just don't stay with certain teams that are in this area, because I think people want to see other matchups, too.
How about yourself?
Well, as JD calls them, there has been a lot more scrums, as he says, this season than any other season in the playoffs. Like you said, feisty is definitely the word for this one. As far as television coverage, ESPN with the blackouts, I'd rather see the Rangers from ESPN's standpoint rather than Sam Rosen and JD, of course. But Fox, I think, is the future of hockey. If they could just stay away from the glowing puck, we'll be fine.
Any last comments? We're just about ready to wrap up.
Go
Anything,
Habs, go.
gentlemen? Go Habs, go?
No, it's go Habs, go, and they said maybe in another 2 years we'll see the Islanders go back into the playoffs. They got a lot of draft choices, and they got a lot of young kids coming up, and I'd like to see them say, get rid of the fishermen. When they get the old emblem back, then they'll go back into the playoffs.
Shane, how about yourself?
Definitely, I'm with him with the Islanders. 2 years, they're a team of the future, not a team of the present. You know how I feel about Fischel. I don't want to get into that. But I think Salo, if anything, is going to be the one.
Well, we're getting ready to wrap up. So, gentlemen, thanks for coming. Ray Valsario, Shane Fair, my great crew who come out month after month. Before we sign off tonight, a producer here on CTV, who co-hosts Down to the Mat, Steve Parsons, is having a bout with a serious illness. All of us, including myself, wish you a speedy recovery, Stephen. So, for Ray Valsario, for Shane Fair and my wonderful crew here on Sports Night, I'm Kevin Lewis. Till next month, good night, everybody.
Good night.